Hello. If you're wondering why I'm dressed like this, let's take a look outside my window.
Backtracks, 5-2. Young lets it go. And hits! Woo! Ice cold.
Yes, it is currently 20 24 degrees outside, which means I'm dying. But we go on. Do you want a little bit of a look into Braves prospects? This is the video for you. Okay, it's getting too hot for the bit, so give me 1 second. Better. While the national media and national prospect people might not look at the Braves prospect system so fondly, there is still a ton of talent down on the farm. Now, this video isn't going to be about the guys that you've heard of per se. While I am going to go over those two prospects, they're not the main subject of today's video. Like I said at the top, this is mostly to give people who may not have a broad look on the Braves prospect system, give them a peek into what is to come in the next several years. The three main prospects I'll be talking about aren't projected next year, and at the earliest, maybe 2025, which is still hopeful for them, I will say. They could always shock me. I've been wrong before. Now, the guys I'm going over aren't nobodies in the system. You may hear them later this year. So this is just to, give you a little bit of an insight or a jump on your competition, whoever you're talking ball with. You can bring out these names and say, hey, I knew him more than you. And who'd you learn that from? Your buddy Eric. Now, you may have heard of these names already, and if you have, um, just stay tuned. We're gonna go over them anyway. So let's go ahead and get into it with AJ Smith-Shawver. The young arm made his debut in 2023 at the ripe age of 20 and flashed a little promise as the Braves were searching for an anchor at the bottom of the rotation. Shawver rose to the ranks in the minor leagues, but when he got to the big leagues, you could just tell he wasn't ready. This guy who blew past A, AA, and AAA essentially all in 1 year. He did have good moments in Atlanta, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on what he did in AAA. With Gwinnett, he had a K per 9 rate of 10.32 with an ERA of 4.17 and a FIP of 4.45. Now, I will say probably a bit of the, elevated FIP and ERA is because he was getting shuttled back and forth a little too often for my taste. We don't want Kyle Wright syndrome. This isn't the last time I will bring up Kyle Wright syndrome in this video. We've seen AJ touch high 90s before, but the secondary stuff does need a lot more time to season. Mainly just finding the strike zone. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see AJ Smith-Shawver and the guy I'm going to talk about right behind him maybe up in August to help bridge the gap to October for some of the rotation members. But in the end, I would much rather him stay down in Gwinnett to just, have a stable year. And even if, bringing him up isn't necessarily something that the Braves need at the moment. Sure, it would be great for him to prove himself in AAA and then come up at the end of the year. But, like I said, Kyle Wright situation, let the guy develop. Can Hurston Waldrep break camp with the Braves, talent-wise? Yes. Should Hurston Waldrep break camp with the Braves? Methinks not. While I am very excited for Hurston Waldrep, I want him, when he comes up, to be 100% ready. Like I said, I don't want Kyle Wright syndrome. Now, Fangraphs does project that Hurston Waldrep is going to come up in 2024. I would assume that is because of how rapid his promotion was last year. You get drafted and finish in AAA in a major league organization that is as good as the Braves. You got some talent. The projected Fangraphs numbers look like this. A 4.35 ERA and FIP along with a 8.78 K percentage and a 3.77 walk percentage. His pitch grades also from Fangraphs give him a 4-pitch mix, all of them being on the very good side of the scale. But the main problem with Hurston coming out of Florida was the control, which out of 45, Fangraphs gave him a 30, 15-point differential. Now, I think Hurston is going to get to the big leagues this year, but I really wouldn't want to see him until August or September. Basically, the exact same thing I said about AJ Smith-Shawver. Use him as the bridge to get to October. Okay, let's get on to the actual list. Let's start off with my favorite prospect in the Braves system, Ignacio Nacho Alvarez Jr. He has some extreme raw power, pairing it with a lot of speed, and can play third, short, and second base. More so a third baseman. But the Braves are going to continue to play him at shortstop, I believe. In 2023 with Rome, Alvarez hit 284, 395, and 391 with 7 home runs, 66 RBIs. Alvarez also crushed left-handed pitchers, batting to the tune of a 964 OPS. Now, looking at the graphic, his 2024 expected stats might look a little funny, and that's because Alvarez carried a 341 BABIP. So, obviously, he was getting a little lucky this year, but that's why he's still down in A-ball, and that's why he still has plenty of time to develop. If Alvarez can fix the launch angle, like fix the plane of his swing, while keeping his bat-to-ball skills, no doy, he's going to get better. But his raw power and speed really places him high because those are basically two intangibles that aren't going to go away. And the fact that he has the bat-to-ball skills that he does to pair with that raw power, we know what the Braves hitting lab can cook up. I'm not saying shortstop of the future, but 2025. Next up, we got Spencer Schwellenbach. Schwellenbach had to get UCL surgery the year he was drafted by the Braves in 2021, and he hasn't pitched until this year. In 2023, in A-ball, he carried a 2.63 ERA, a 3.86 FIP, to go along with a K per 9 of 7.19 and a walk per 9 of 2.63. Schwellenbach has a 4-pitch mix and has topped out at 98 miles an hour on the fastball. His slider and his fastball lack a lot of movement, so it's very straight on. And obviously, against big league batters, that isn't going to play well. Scouts have said that his slider looks more like a cutter at times. But here's something cool about Schwellenbach. He was initially used in the pen in kind of a closer role. Well, this year the Braves moved him into the rotation where he was able to work a 51% ground ball rate. I think the most encouraging thing about Schwellenbach is that his velocity and his kind of stuff in general didn't diminish coming back from the elbow surgery. And the Braves will most likely want to keep him in the rotation as he does have kind of back-end starter upside along with being a pretty good bullpen arm upside in the big leagues. Now, here's something to mention. Schwellenbach is Rule 5 eligible in December of 2024. So I wonder if Schwellenbach gets maybe one more year before the Braves say, hey, what's going on, buddy? But like I said, Schwellenbach has a very high ceiling in the bullpen and a ceiling of being maybe a back-end 4 or 5 guy in the rotation. Let's go to our last guy on the list, and that is Owen Murphy. Now, I think Owen's greatest strength right now is that he's really young, and you can develop on that. Scouts and Fangraphs don't expect him to make his debut until the 2026 season, so obviously that's a little bit of a stone's throw down the road. He featured a high 90s fastball when he was first drafted, but has since come back down to 90, 93-ish. In 72 innings in A-ball, he got a 12.01 K per 9 rate, went to a 347 walk rate, pitched to a 471 ERA with a FIP of 374. Murphy's fastball has a lot of movement, and his slider as well, which is kind of like an over-the-top curveball slider thing. I don't want to call it a slurve because it's not a slurve, but it's a slider. We'll call it a slider. That sits in the mid-80s. Some of these prospects still have a lot to work on, but luckily, their expected date is far down the road, and the Braves have a core locked up for a long time. Obviously, 4 of the 5 players that I mentioned in this video are pitchers, and the Braves, if you're following them closely, are going to have a little bit of a rotation issue next year. But with Max Friese expected to leave in free agency and Charlie Morton probably hanging it up. You don't want your rotation to be Spencer Strider, Chris Sale, and Bryce Elder. And this became official as I was writing the video, so I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. The Braves just signed Jose Perdomo, an infielder from Venezuela, and he is touted as one of the best hitters in the international pool and MLB Pipeline's number 3 international free agent prospect, should say. Obviously, the 17-year-old, I believe, Perdomo is very far away from the big leagues, but I would like to emphasize something before we leave here today. If at any point in the video I was explaining the stats of these players or what their stuff features and maybe how they're going to project in 2024, just remember that these prospects that I mentioned have all been being built up out of pure amateur draft. If you remember the Capella thing, which was him getting banned from baseball, then unbanned from baseball. But anyway, more importantly, the Braves were barred from signing any international free agents for several years, which is why the farm system has been really so low in the rankings by everybody. Braves have a lot of prospect power still, but it's mostly on the pitching side. And as we learn in the rebuild years and some of the non rebuild years, pitching prospects can always flop. For every Spencer Strider, there is a Aaron Blair, if you remember that name, or a Jared Schuster, or a Sean Newcomb. I could name bad Braves pitchers from the rebuild era, acquired from the rebuild era all day long. Let me know what you guys are thinking or feeling in the comment section below. Be sure to follow me on other social media to keep up with when the videos are going to be posted or when the videos are posted. I'll usually tweet out whenever I do have a new one up if you don't have post notifications on YouTube. And also, if you want to join the TikTok community where I actually got my initial Braves following, you're more than welcome to do so. Hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it for you guys. I always enjoy making content. Things might get a little bit weird as I'm just starting back school for this semester and I got two jobs going on. So if things don't get posted on schedule, follow me on socials and you'll find out. But anyway, as always, if you enjoyed, drop a like, and if you feel so inclined, subscribe to the channel. We're going to try to be doing 2 videos a week here and just trying to bridge that gap to spring training, which is only a month away at this point. But as always, everybody, I really hope that you have a good one.